What if I told you that the most beautiful planet in our solar system is actually a cosmic crime scene? Saturn is screaming into the void right now. Not metaphorically, literally screaming radio emissions that sound like something out of a horror movie. For centuries, we called it the jewel of the solar system. Beautiful, peaceful, majestic. We were dead wrong. Saturn is a violent colossus spinning so fast it's crushing itself into the shape of a pumpkin. It's got storms that form perfect hexagons, something nature isn't supposed to do. Its gravity is so brutal it rips entire moons apart just to decorate itself with their remains. And those gorgeous rings we admire? They're a graveyard. Welcome to the most extreme planet you've never truly understood. But here's what really gets me. Everything we thought we knew about Saturn was based on looking at it from nearly 1 billion miles away. We saw this golden giant with its spectacular rings and assumed it was some kind of cosmic work of art. Serene, elegant, timeless. Then we sent Cassini out there. For 13 years, this spacecraft circled Saturn, getting closer than any human-made object ever had. And what it found changed everything. See? Most people think Jupiter is the king of chaos in our solar system. The great red spot, the massive size, the intense radiation. Jupiter gets all the attention. But the truth is, Saturn might actually be more extreme in ways that'll blow your mind. It's just been hiding its violence behind that beautiful facade. Subscribe to Space Aquarius and let's begin. So what makes Saturn so extreme? It starts with something you can't even see from Earth. Those rings, let's talk about what they really are. From your backyard telescope, they look like smooth bands of gold. Solid, perfect, almost angelic. But if you could actually fly into them, and I mean right into the middle of that ring system, you'd find yourself in an absolute blender. These rings aren't solid at all. They're a chaotic blizzard of ice and rock, ranging from particles the size of a grain of sand, all the way up to chunks as big as a mountain. And they're all orbiting at thousands of miles per hour, constantly smashing into each other, shattering, reforming. It's a storm of ice shrapnel that stretches for nearly 186,000 miles wide, but in some places is only 33 feet thick. Think about that. A blade of ice and rock slicing through the darkness of space. Now here's where it gets dark. Scientists believe these rings are actually the remains of a murder. A long time ago, maybe hundreds of millions of years ago, maybe billions, a moon wandered too close to Saturn. It crossed something called the Roche limit, which is basically the point of no return. Saturn's gravity grabbed that moon and literally ripped it apart, tore the crust from the core, shredded a living world into trillions of icy fragments. Those beautiful rings we admire? They're not jewelry. They're the scattered remains of a dead moon. We're staring at a planetary graveyard every time we look at Saturn through a telescope. And here's the kicker, those rings are dying too. Saturn's gravity is slowly pulling them down into the planet as what scientists call ring rain. In about 100 million years, they'll be completely gone. Saturn will just be another lonely gas giant in the dark. But the rings aren't even the strangest thing about this planet. Look at Saturn's North Pole. You'll see something that shouldn't exist. Nature doesn't make straight lines. Fluid dynamics, the way gases and liquids move, should create circles and spirals. That's just basic physics. Yet there it is, spinning forever. A perfect hexagon. This isn't some optical illusion or trick of the light. It's a six-sided storm wide enough to swallow 4 Earths. The walls of this storm reach hundreds of miles deep into Saturn's atmosphere. And at the very center sits a massive vortex, a red spinning eye that looks like a rose made of hurricanes. We've been watching this thing since Voyager 2, first spotted it back in 1981. That's over 40 years ago. It's been raging for decades, possibly centuries. A geometric scar that never heals, staring unblinkingly into the void like a giant eye. Nobody fully understands why it's a hexagon. The best theory involves something called jet streams, rivers of fast-moving air in the atmosphere, interacting in just the right way to create this shape. But the math is incredibly complex and we're still not entirely sure. What we do know is this. When Saturn gets angry, the entire planet changes. Every 30 Earth years, roughly 1 Saturn year, a monster wakes up. We call it the Great White Spot. It's a storm system so massive it wraps around the entire circumference of the planet. Imagine a thunderstorm that covers the entire Earth, flashing with lightning 10,000 times stronger than anything we've got here. But Saturn's extremes don't stop at the planet itself. Saturn has over 140 moons. But 2 of them are so strange they've completely changed how we think about life in the universe. First, there's Titan. It's the only moon in our entire solar system with a thick atmosphere. In fact, the air pressure on Titan is higher than on Earth. If you stood on its surface, you'd see rivers, lakes, and rain clouds. It looks startlingly like home, but don't be fooled. Titan is a twisted, toxic reflection of Earth. The rain isn't water, it's liquid methane and ethane. Liquid natural gas falling from the sky in slow motion because of the low gravity. The temperature is minus 290 degrees Fahrenheit. If you jumped into a lake on Titan, you wouldn't just freeze. You'd shatter like glass. And the ground, those aren't sand dunes. They're made of dark hydrocarbon grains, essentially plastic. Static charged plastic dunes hundreds of feet high, shifting in the alien wind. It's a world that mimics life but is built from the ingredients of death. Then there's Enceladus. For years we thought it was just a frozen rock. But then we saw the tiger stripes, long blue fractures at the South Pole. And from these scars it bleeds. Giant geysers of water vapor shoot hundreds of miles into space at supersonic speed. Saturn's gravity is kneading this tiny moon like a ball of dough, keeping its core warm. Beneath that thick frozen shell lies a global ocean of warm liquid water. It has salt, it has heat, it has organic molecules. In the deep, dark pressure of Enceladus, shielded from the vacuum of space, something might be swimming. We went to Saturn looking for gas and rock. We might leave having found neighbors. But to learn these secrets, we had to make a sacrifice. In 2017, the Cassini spacecraft was running out of fuel. It had been our lone messenger at Saturn for 13 years, sending back images and data that revolutionized our understanding of the planet. But NASA faced a problem. If Cassini ran out of fuel and crashed into one of Saturn's moons, especially Enceladus with its subsurface ocean, it could contaminate that world with Earth bacteria. We might accidentally destroy the very life we were searching for. So NASA made a tough choice. They ordered Cassini to commit suicide. On its final orbit, Cassini dove straight into the atmosphere of the monster it had studied for over a decade. It fought to keep its antenna pointed at Earth, transmitting data until the very last second. The heat and pressure tore the spacecraft apart. It melted, vaporized, and became part of Saturn forever. Carl Sagan once wrote, "In all the history of mankind, only one generation will be first to explore the solar system. One generation for which, in childhood, the planets are distant and indistinct disks, moving through the night sky, and for which, in old age, the planets are places, diverse new worlds in the course of exploration. We're that generation." And Cassini showed us that Saturn isn't the peaceful jewel we imagined. It's a world of extremes hiding in plain sight. Saturn feels eternal, but it's not. Even the rings are dying. In 100 million years, a blink of an eye in cosmic time, they'll be gone. So look at it while you can. It's a temporary masterpiece of gravity and violence. A beautiful trap that lured us across the solar system, only to show us how small we really are. But here's something I didn't tell you at the start. Everything I just explained about Saturn's extremes, it's nothing compared to what's happening on its largest moon right now. NASA is sending a drone called Dragonfly to Titan in 2027. And what they're really looking for might change everything we know about life beyond Earth. If this video opened your eyes to Saturn's true nature, do me a favor. Hit that like button so YouTube knows you want more deep dive space content like this. Subscribe to Space Aquarius if you haven't already. We're exploring the solar system's biggest mysteries every week. Leave a comment telling me which planet you think is actually the most extreme. I read every single comment, and your answers might inspire our next video. And if you know someone who'd love learning about Saturn's dark side, share this video with them.